Laura, let me start with you. We're just concluding the second summit. In your mind, how did it go?
I thought it was amazing this year. This year we felt the energy that we had hoped to generate last year magnified. It was the connections that were being made in the hallways, in the conversations between the participants were absolutely incredible. It was really what we had dreamed for the summit to be, and in our second year, it was here.
Mark, a number of people that we talked to said that one of the things they felt was so important was that there was a real feeling that this is, in fact, a global summit. People from around the world. Did you pick that up?
Yes, there's no doubt about that. People from around the country and all over the world. It's interesting, we're equipping people who participate to go back to their home communities to advance this work, but at the same time, we're really creating the kind of connections that do leave people feeling, well, we're in this with people all over the world. There is a global community.
Laura, we've now had two summits. Will the summit change from what we've had in the first two? Will it morph into something different? And if so, what? How?
It will definitely morph into something different. What that will be remains to be seen as we do a debrief with all of our participants this year to see what kind of a structure we want to use for next year. We hope it's an event that will be consistent enough to be rewarding for the people who come with certain expectations, but also a surprise that will get them re-energized and re-excited. So I think that will be seen in the next couple of weeks. But I'm going to follow up on something Mark said about the global nature of this. I just finished a conversation with someone from Australia who flew 30 hours solid to be here. He had just been in a panel conversation with colleagues from the United States, from Europe, from Canada, who he had never met. And he said, I had to come to Pittsburgh to find the purpose and the people, and now I want to go back and take this to Australia. That's what the summit is all about, those personal connections with personal people who were delighted to see one another this year and are going to take those personal relationships from here and turn them into real fruitful work in the year to come.
Talk to me about the importance of, and this is what the summit is about as well, breaking down these silos of, for example, academicians, the legal profession, law enforcement.
You know, we talk a lot here about the other and about breaking down the idea that somebody else is the other. It exists in the profession itself. Academicians don't talk to law enforcement, don't talk to policy people, don't talk to doctors. And here, we connected individual people to know one another beyond their normal boundaries. And just as we say in the subject matter of it's really good to know the other, because it will enrich your life, it's true in our profession too, and I think we saw that happen.
Mark, I'm curious, everybody has their own takeaways, but as one of the co-chairs of the summit, what was your biggest takeaway from this year's?
I think it is the combination of the emotional energy that is generated by this conference. The subject matter is sobering. But there is something very positive about people being in a room, working on things together, feeling as if they're not in it alone. And then the exchanges of substantive, creative ideas. People do come and they walk away with approaches that they might not have thought of themselves. So it's both kind of an exchange of intelligence and an exchange of positive feelings.
Laura, do you expect the attendance at the summit to continue to grow?
I do. We saw it grow more than twice from last year because people were so captivated by what they saw. They brought friends. I know the same thing's going to happen, and we had almost 300 speakers this year, to a person pretty much, I think, Mark. They're so excited, and people have been coming up to us saying, there's somebody else I'm dying to introduce you to that needs to be a part of the summit. So I do expect that it will grow.
When you look ahead, you've already said it will definitely change, it will expand. Is there a danger that it could expand too much, too quickly, or in the wrong way, and you will have slid back a little? Not a lot, it's obviously not going to fall apart.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have a very strong executive committee that's going to be looking at the structure of the summit, what worked, what didn't, how we can improve it and how we can make it better. But you're right, we can't just mindlessly do what we did before. We have to be really thoughtful about the people who are involved, about the landscape that surrounds us in the outside world, and we intend to do that.
And it is important to note that this second summit was markedly different in its structure than the first. That is, we kept everybody together in big sections last year so that we could develop a common base of knowledge and also nurture a sense of community. This year, about half of the time was spent in much more focused sections which facilitate problem solving. And when we think about next year, I bet we'll come up with similar changes, and then we'll work hard to make certain that it serves the purpose.
Did the specialized track approach work in your mind?
It did work because the person sitting next to me is a very strict disciplinarian. People were saying, well, Laura says we've got to have takeaways. Laura says we've got to have plans. And so in almost all of these small sessions, the panelists came up with, or are in the process of coming up with, work that can be done between this summit and the next summit that will markedly advance the cause.
Fantastic.
One of the things that was the most meaningful to me this year was the conversations I had with the families of Pittsburgh. There were a number of families who were here all last year and who were here this year. And their attitude was so different. They came last year sort of lost, kind of wondering what this was all about and what they were going to learn. And this year they came focused, directed, they understood some of the issues. And last year they said at the end of the summit, this gave us hope. This year they came back and they were saying, we're going to go to this session for this reason and that session. Here's what we should do next year. And so for them to take ownership of what we're trying to do here was incredibly meaningful. I didn't expect it.
To your point, a number of people we talked to, I got the impression that they almost viewed the summit as part of their family or their process, if you will.
Mm-hmm. That it belongs to them, and it does. The summit belongs to all the participants in it.
And these family members came and they stayed and they participated from beginning to end. We were with them when we started on Monday morning. They were in sessions this afternoon. And that is a great feeling because to the extent they feel that we're doing something constructive, and to the extent that we can honor the memories of those who were lost, that means a great deal to us.
It's also a validation of the approach. Mm-hmm. Laura, Mark, thank you very much and congrats on this very successful summit.
Thank you so much.